Before we dive in, make sure to like this video and hit the subscribe if you haven't already, and if this is your first time here, welcome. You picked a wild one to start with. Let's get into it. We set off before dawn, the highway unfolding like a ribbon of possibility into the pale light. In the driver's seat sat Adam, my stepson, his jaw set, eyes steady on the road. Mark, my husband's old friend, rode shotgun, his easy smile a warm counterpoint to the hush in the back. My heart pounded with hope and nerves. I wanted this trip to heal old wounds, to build a bridge between Adam and me, but I did not yet know how long that bridge would take to span. The sun rose as we left New York City behind, golden rays spilling through the windshield. Adam said little, but each mile seemed to loosen him a bit. I remembered the teenager he had once been, brooding, distant, his grief still fresh. Now at 22, he carried his feelings carefully, like a fragile package he feared would break if opened. Mark broke the silence at last. Road trips have a way of stirring honest talk, he said, his voice rich with promise. There's nothing but us and the open road. I forced a laugh, turning in my seat so Adam could see me in the rearview mirror. Here's something you don't know about me, I began. I used to hate long drives. Hours in a car made me anxious. But today, I feel like every mile might be a gift. He glanced back then, his grip easing on the wheel. I get that, he replied quietly. By late afternoon, clouds gathered on the horizon. A soft patter turned into a roar as rain pounded the windshield. Mark guided us off at the next exit, a small roadside diner glowing through sheets of water. Inside, the rich smell of coffee and grilled cheese wrapped around us like a blanket. We slid into a booth by the window, watching the storm dance on the glass. Mark stirred his coffee thoughtfully. Adam, your dad used to talk about you all the time. Even when he found it hard to show it. Adam's jaw clenched. He's never been good with feelings. I reached out, laying a hand on Adam's arm. Sometimes love hides behind silence, I said softly. You're more seen than you know. He looked at me then, really looked, and for the first time, I saw his walls tremble. When the rain eased, we climbed back in. The night air was cool, the road slick and shining. Adam's profile in the glow of his dashboard seemed softer. I realized that in those diner walls, something had shifted. He no longer saw me as an outsider, but as someone who cared enough to stay. Miles later, Mark finally spoke over the hum of tires. Road trips let you say things you never planned to say. He paused. No distractions, no excuses. Adam exhaled and the tension in his shoulders melted. Maybe he wasn't great at saying I love you, but he tried in his own way. Under a sky scattered with cold stars, the sudden thud of a blowout forced us to the roadside. Adam's curse cracked the night. He and Mark worked over the spare tire while I watched from inside, heart in my throat. After a moment, Adam's voice came soft and low. I used to hate you. My breath caught. I waited. Not because of anything you did, he hurried on, but because you weren't my mom. It felt like you replaced her. Tears stung my eyes. I could never replace her, I whispered. I only wanted you to know I love you. He stood silent for a long minute, then nodded. When the tow truck left us with a fixed tire, something unseen but monumental had been repaired between us. We rolled into the next morning with dawn breaking in streaks of pink and gold. The air felt different, lighter, freer. At a quiet 24-hour cafe, we sipped steaming coffee under flickering neon. Mark watched us with that knowing smile. You two finally figured it out, he said, raising his mug. Adam shrugged, but his eyes shone. We were not just three people in a car anymore. We were a family learning to heal together. As we drove on into the rising sun, I felt hope bloom in my chest. The miles still stretched ahead, but they felt less like distance and more like promise. We were moving forward, not away from the past, but toward a future we would build, step by gentle step, together. The sun peeked over the horizon, casting a soft golden glow across the empty road. A new day had begun, but something felt different. Lighter. Like we had all left something behind in the night. Adam reached for the radio and turned it on. Soft music filled the car, blending with the morning silence. It wasn't much, but it felt like a small bridge between us, a quiet comfort. Mark stretched in the front seat and yawned. "I think we're due for breakfast soon," he said, glancing at a sign that pointed to a nearby town. "How about a real meal?" Adam nodded without a word. He seemed calm. More present. He didn't look at me, but his hands were steady on the wheel. That told me more than words ever could. We pulled into a little diner that looked older than all of us put together. Its paint was chipped, and the sign buzzed faintly, but it had charm. Like it had seen its share of stories. Inside, the smell of bacon and fresh coffee wrapped around us like a warm hug. We found a corner booth, and Adam slid in first. I followed, sitting across from him. The waitress smiled as she poured our coffee. "You all look like you've been on the road a while," she said kindly. Mark laughed. "You could say that. It's been a long journey." Adam looked out the window, thoughtful. "Not just the road," he said quietly. "Some trips are more about what's inside than where you're going." I met his eyes across the table, and for the first time, I saw no distance there. No walls. Just a tired young man, honest and open in a way he hadn't been before. "You've changed," I said softly, not meaning to say it out loud. He didn't deny it. He simply nodded. Maybe I just stopped fighting things I didn't understand. Mark leaned back in his seat, his smile proud and quiet. "That's called growing up, kid," he said. "And you're doing just fine." Breakfast came, and we ate in peaceful silence. Not the kind that comes from awkwardness, but the kind that comes when words aren't necessary anymore. After we paid and stepped back into the morning light, Adam walked beside me instead of ahead. That small shift in steps made my chest ache in the best way. Back in the car, he looked over his shoulder at me. "You know, I don't remember the trip for just the places we saw," he said. "I'll remember it for this. For what changed." Tears stung my eyes, but I didn't let them fall. "Me too," I whispered. Because this trip had been more than miles. It had been healing, slow, and quiet. As the car moved forward, I looked at the road ahead and smiled. It wasn't about where we were going anymore. It was about the fact that, finally, we were going together. And that was everything. The road stretched ahead like a ribbon, winding through soft hills and quiet fields. The sky was wide and blue, with only a few white clouds drifting slowly. It felt peaceful, like the world had finally stopped spinning so fast. We didn't talk much for the next hour. But it wasn't a heavy silence. It was calm, full of quiet thoughts and shared understanding. Adam played soft music again. It filled the car like a warm blanket. Mark leaned his head against the window. "You know," he said suddenly, "I used to think trips like this were just escapes. But now I think they're more like returns." I looked at him, confused. "Returns?" I asked. "Yeah," he said, smiling a little. "Not running away, but finding your way back. Back to yourself, or to people you lost along the way." Adam didn't say anything right away. Then he glanced at us through the mirror. "Maybe we all got a little lost somewhere," he said. "But now, we're coming back." His voice was softer now. Not sharp, not guarded. It was the kind of voice you use when you're no longer afraid of being heard. We stopped by a small lake for lunch. The air was fresh, and birds sang in the trees. We spread out a blanket and shared sandwiches. Nothing fancy, but it tasted like something special. Adam walked to the water's edge and stood there for a long time. I watched him quietly. He didn't look restless like before. He looked like he was letting go of something heavy. I joined him without a word. The water was still, with little ripples from the wind. "It's beautiful," I said. He nodded. "Yeah. It makes you feel small, but in a good way. Like all the things we worry about, maybe they're not so big after all." I glanced at him. "Do you still feel angry?" I asked gently. Adam didn't answer right away. Then he shook his head. Not like before. I think I was angry because I didn't understand what I was feeling. I pushed people away, even the ones I needed most. My throat tightened. Like me? He looked at me, and his eyes were full of something deep and real. Especially you, he said. I didn't know how to say it, but I missed you. I missed us. The wind blew softly between us. I took a slow breath. I missed you too, I whispered. We sat down on the grass, side by side. No more distance. No more pretending. Just two brothers finding their way back to each other. Mark stayed by the car, giving us space. He was good at that, knowing when to speak and when to stay silent. I knew he was watching, and I knew he was proud. Later, when we got back on the road, the car felt different. Lighter. Like it wasn't just carrying bodies, but hearts that had started to heal. We laughed more now. Shared old memories. Told stories about our childhood that we hadn't spoken of in years. It felt like opening a photo album in our minds. As the sun began to set, painting the sky with gold and orange, Adam spoke again. I used to think I had to fix everything myself, he said. But maybe it's okay to ask for help. Maybe that's not weakness, maybe that's strength. I smiled at him, eyes stinging. Yeah, I said. It is. The last stretch of road felt like coming home, even though we didn't know exactly where we were going. Because now, home wasn't a place, it was being together. And for the first time in a long time, that was enough. We reached a small town just before nightfall. It was quiet, with warm lights in the windows and the smell of food in the air. We decided to stop and rest. At a small diner, we found a booth by the window. The place was cozy, with soft music playing and the sound of people laughing. It felt safe, like we had found a pause in the journey. As we ate, Mark smiled and said, "This is nice. I forgot how good it feels to just sit and talk." Adam nodded. Me too. I think I forgot what peace feels like. I looked at both of them. We should do this more often. Not just road trips, but time together. They both agreed. We didn't need big plans. Just being together was enough. Later, at a small motel, we shared one room. We lay on our beds, tired but calm. For the first time in a long time, no one was angry, no one was hiding. Before sleep took us, Adam whispered, "Thanks for not giving up on me." I smiled in the dark. We're family. We don't give up. Tell me in the comments, I will be reading, and if you haven't already hit like, subscribe, can tap the notification bell so you never miss what comes next. Thanks for being here and making this channel possible.